Hey Vic, I'll start off with a couple injury questions. How did Glasgow and Locke come out of the game?
Drew came out of the game good. I don't think it ever really hindered him that much. And he reports in good this morning, so no residual effects there. Glasgow didn't finish the game, as you know. Just kind of felt his leg a little bit, but really might not have been his calf that was bothering him. He may have sustained, maybe altered his gait or something, but he's got a little soreness in his lower leg, but don't think it's anything serious.
Okay, and then last one on the injuries. Do you expect Shelby back this week?
Possibility,
Yeah.
not guaranteed.
All right. Last thing for me, your pass rush with the 6 sacks yesterday. A lot of, 5 seconds, 5.5 seconds. How impressed were you with your coverage on the back end, but also your guys' effort up front to stick with it?
Both. You felt that during the game. Sounds like you did some research on the time that the quarterback had the ball there. But for us to get 6 sacks, and our starting defensive lineman has been out for a good bit of time. Casey's been out, I believe, since the second game, and Mike's been out since, game 4 or 5, and Shelby's been out. That's the third game he's missed. So when your entire starting defensive line is out, and obviously Vaughn's been out, for us to come up with 6 sacks with all the guys in there that are rotating in there speaks volumes to those guys, the fight they have, the determination, and as you alluded to, the good coverage on the back end.
Thanks, Marty.
Hey, Vic, a couple for you. One is Donatel back in the building this week? And then
not today. He's not. Don't know if that will happen or not this week.
Okay, and the other one was, given that Brett Rippon had taken so much of the work with the ones last week, and then Drew gets off to the 0 for 6 start with the pick, was there any thought, were you starting to get tempted to maybe put Brett in for a series or so, or were you going to stick with Drew regardless?
No, that thought never did cross my mind. And the work Brett got last week, the bulk of it was on Wednesday. Drew got the bulk of it on Thursday and Friday.
Next one, Brandon.
Coach, I know you guys switched to intensive protocols. Do you really think that because y'all have been doing it for a month, it'll put you ahead of the curve there, that your routine is developed? I guess there's no real way to quantify that, but to know that you've already been doing it, so there's not a lot of extra planning.
Knock on wood. Let's just keep our fingers crossed, our toes crossed, our arms crossed. But yeah, the new protocols that the NFL instituted league-wide last week really did not have any effect on us. We were able to continue doing it the way we were doing it.
Next one, Troy.
Coach, it seems like a lot longer, but for Drew, it's only been 13 games, and we've seen the highs and lows. What is the key for him to then kind of find that consistency? What can he learn from a game like yesterday to where you don't have the really big highs and lows going forward?
Well, the one thing we did as a team yesterday was we ran the ball better. We played good defense for the most part. And to me, those are a quarterback, especially young quarterbacks, 2 best friends. And he had them yesterday. So the more we can do that as a team, the more he'll be able to develop at in a more logical progression. As it relates to him specifically, we just have to be able to, eliminate the bad plays, the interceptions, make the right reads, make some easy completions. I'd like to see him get off to a better start, obviously, than we've been getting off, particularly as it relates to the passing game here the last few weeks. So those are some points of emphasis I think we need to focus on this week.
Next one, Jeff.
Vic, I'm just wondering the challenges of sort of the Zoom life when you have a guy like Holder come up from the practice squad and you put him in the dime, essentially. What are the challenges in sort of getting a guy ready to play like that?
Well, we're not Zooming right now.
Okay.
But it's a challenge. He hadn't had many reps there. I just felt like part of the reason we brought him up was for special teams. When he was up 2 weeks ago, he played well for us in special teams. Obviously, our special teams hasn't been up to our standard of late. So that was part of the reason to bring him up. And to get him up, he had to take over the dime position. And we'll see if we continue that way this week again. But I thought he did fine in there. Obviously, there's a player or two he would like to have over. But, was pleased with the way he played.
Next one, Mike Kliss. Mike, you got to hit on mute. Mike, you're still muted. We'll come back to you. Next one, Eric Delala, go ahead.
Yeah, Coach, two for you. First, just I guess speaking generally, Justin Simmons' instincts, how impressive are those in terms of him knowing when to kind of slide over and challenge a pass?
Justin's instincts are excellent. That was one of the first things I noticed about him when we got here back in 2019. And he's just progressed beautifully along those lines as he has grasped more of a command of the coverages we play and our overall scheme. So that's something that I think will continue to improve. Although he's playing at a high level right now, I still think he'll continue to improve in that area, and it will result in more big plays for him.
And then you guys had a bunch of offensive players with, big gains. I think 5 receivers with catches of at least 15 yards. Obviously, Melvin and Phillip also had big runs. What do you like about what Pat Shurmur did to kind of change things around a little bit and get some guys going?
Yeah, we showed some versatility in the offense, both by the number of different guys that you alluded to that caught some balls and obviously carried it. And I think, again, it's just a direct result of being able to run the ball better. Anytime you can run it a little bit better, it opens up things for a lot of guys. And if you throw it a little bit better, it will open up the running game. And I think we had that going yesterday. I do think we can still throw it better on the early downs than we did. But we had more balance and successful balance. It's easy to have balance, but can you be successful with it? And yesterday we were.
Okay, Mike, we're going to try again. Go
Coach,
ahead.
Coach, you got me?
We got you.
Mike, you're 100% that you don't never turn on your switch.
Hey, watching Reisner and, Bowles pull out there yesterday brought me back to my childhood watching football with Jerry Kramer and Fuzzy Thurston and Forrest Gregg leading for Paul Horning and Jim Taylor. I was wondering, why do those principles, that was supposed to be antiquated, why do the principles of that type of blocking scheme still work today? And where did you get the idea to do so much pulling?
Well, part of the reason is, and you hit on it, you went all the way back to the 60s there. The Miami plays some fronts that was popular in the 60s. We play those fronts too here a little bit. We mix them in, disguise them a little bit more. So because of the way they played their defense, those runs were appealing to us, and we put them in, and the guys did a great job of executing them.
Guys, time for a few more. Next one, Andrew Mason.
Vic, was wondering what you thought of Lloyd Cushenberry's season to date, what you want to see from him in the next 6 games, and also how do you think he's doing in terms of getting everything right pre-snap, getting the protections right and all that?
I think Lloyd's done a good job all year of improving a little bit each and every week. And that's not surprising because that's the type of guy he is. He's very conscientious, has a lot of pride, wants to uphold his end of the bargain as it relates to fitting in with the offensive line, executing his blocks, doing his job as a center, which does involve ID in fronts and where the line and how the line is going to work. So he's made small strides each and every week. And that's what we're hoping for that he does these last 6 weeks, is continues to make small strides each and every week.
Final 2, Nick and George. Go ahead, Nick.
Vic, KJ's 15-yard catch on 3rd and 10 on that first scoring drive for you guys kind of got the ball rolling. What did you like from him on that play? And then on a larger scale, how he's been kind of really finding his role within this offense the last 3 weeks or so?
Yeah, obviously that was a big play. It was kind of similar to the play that Deshaun made against the Chargers a few weeks ago that got us going on a 3rd and 8 conversion. I think, Hamler's doing a great job of improving each and every week. I think he's a very hard guy to stay with. He's tough to cover. I think that was illustrated a couple times yesterday. And then the one play that you're talking about, it was a very contested throw. The guy actually had good coverage on him. It was a good throw by Drew, and KJ had the fight for the ball there, which was good to see. But the other big one that he had too, I don't remember if it was a third down or not, but it was kind of near our sideline. You know, he did a good job of getting away from coverage there and beat the guy pretty cleanly. And those are the things that I think we should and could see more and more from him. Got to remember all the time he's missed, but he's one of those guys that I keep saying is improving daily and getting better and better.
George.
Yeah, Vic, I got a couple for you. I think it's been a couple weeks or 3 weeks since we've asked you, but how is Von Miller progressing, and do you think he's a guy that you guys could get back maybe the last few games this season?
I think he's progressing well. I think it's still too early to say if he would be able to play or not. He has not obviously gotten medical clearance to go out on the field and partake in practice even in a limited fashion. So, you know, until he gets to that point, you know, it's a moot point. So, I mean, I know he wants to. I've talked to him about it. We'd love to have him out there, but we're only going to have him out there when he's ready fully to participate. You know, obviously that's going to require medical clearance first.
And secondly, you mentioned it earlier, but the amount of guys you guys have had out up front, how good can this defensive front be when fully healthy, do you think?
Well, I'd like to think we could be pretty damn good. You know, Mike Purcell is a really good run defender, and we miss him in there. Shelby's a good run defender and pass rusher. We've missed him. We've missed Jarrell and his play. You know, we've obviously missed Vaughn and his play. You know, so those are four guys, you know, being a 3-4 defense, that's 4 out of your front 5. And it trickles over to the nickel where it's basically 3 out of your 4 nickel front guys. So I'd like to think that we would be significantly better, but kudos to the guys that have come in and replaced them. They're fighting their asses off and giving us good work each and every week.